Okay. So I'm hearing they want me to do a reading on what is the point of sensual pleasure? What is the point of it? Why even include that in the human, you know, encoding? Why are we even able to? What is the point of this pleasure? What is the point of sensual pleasure? I'm feeling like you alone are enough. You alone are enough. It's for you. It's for you. I feel like a lot of us focus on awakening these parts of ourselves so that we can give back to others, so that we can show up this way for others. And I feel like this was not what it was meant for. But once cultivated, it feels like now you can take flight, yeah. And really, oh my God. Really like share oh my God, okay. Okay, let me take a minute to like sit with this energy for a sec. Okay. Okay. The point of sensuality is for you and your spirit to come back together. When we incarnate here, there's like this separation of the spirit, of the soul, of the self from the physicality of it, right? And I feel like we do have a piece of ourselves, right? We come into the body with the loss of the magnitude and the fullness of who we are. And I feel like through experiencing senses and sensuality, we remember, because we are one with all. So anything that brings you pleasure, anything that brings you, that awakens your senses, or like I'm feeling even textures, right? Like the first texture you touched that you didn't like, you were like, oh, that doesn't resonate. Oh, that makes me feel icky. And then the first thing you like, I'm feeling like baby's first soft blanket or something, right? And being like, the like sacredness, the pureness, the just But some people like rough texture. Some people are like, yeah, that's that part of me that I've always like, oh, like, you know. So it's like whatever. But I feel like I'm feeling like a baby's first soft blanket and being like, oh, that reminds me of my soul. And you're not consciously thinking that, but I'm feeling like there's just like this remembrance of the beauty of all that you are, which is everything. Which I feel like it really comes back into this oneness, like everything that you experience. Ooh, even not liking the rough texture though was a reminder that you also are one with the rough texture as much as you are with the soft textures, right? Or you just as much as the things that smell bad. You're one with that and things that smell delectable. So I'm feeling like this duality of, oh wow, okay, that explains. I'm seeing this like masculine and feminine. So I was gonna get into that, how I'm like it really connects you back with like the masculine nature and the feminine nature of the self, but it's feeling like this duality, right? So it's like things that bring you pleasure, things that bring you joy, things that excite you and make you excited, remind you of the beauty of you, but the things that also like enact like a trigger, a trigger, or kind of like sensory overload, or almost something that like makes your stomach turn, reminds you of the parts of yourself that sometimes that needs to be worked out, or that need to learn to accept everything for what it is, right? When we first experienced that, we're like, ugh, like kids, ugh, I don't like vegetables, or ugh, I don't like that thing, or that thing smells bad, or that thing tastes weird. And it's like there's beauty in all of it. I think as adults, a lot of, I don't know if for you guys personally, but I've learned to love a lot of things that I hated as a kid. And I was like, oh, it's so gross. It doesn't taste like candy. It doesn't taste like this. It doesn't taste like that. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, oh my God, like the foods from the earth are so nourishing. Like they feel like they're feeding my soul. I feel like the food from the earth was meant to feed the human vessel. I feel like the things that, even when I smell something like that's absolutely disgusting, like I literally can find the like, but I'm able to smell, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how could you, like, I feel like as a spirit, like maybe you're able to experience these things, but there's something about being in a physical vessel that you really desired, that you truly desired and wanted for yourself. And I'm hearing sensory deprivation. Okay, so I feel like you were deprived of the sensory overload prior to incarnating, right? Because there's like only so much that like I feel like there's like this, I'm feeling like missing or this lack. And it's like, it's not a lack. The soul's not lacking anything. The soul just, there's things that we do in the physical that are meant for the physical that the soul doesn't really need. But they can always incarnate into a physical to experience, okay? I hope that's making sense. But I feel like that's what we are here to experience is all the pleasures, the pains, and the things we don't really understand fully as just the soul. I feel like there needs to be some type of physicality to it to bring a deeper understanding back to the soul, okay? So I feel like we get in touch with our, oh, the feminine's on fire here though, right? So sensuality really like ignites something in our feminine nature, that reminds us to go inward. Yeah. Okay. Because the feminine is that innate nature to want to take care, that nurturing self, that, you know, I feel like she's more, there's two parts to the feminine. There's this part of the feminine that wants to take care of everyone, right? But when she's healed, she wants to take care of the self. She wants to come back in and bring that same nurturing she could provide for everyone else back to the self, okay? And she does it well, okay? So, and then the masculine, I feel like he's more single-minded, but when he learns to be expansive and use that his concepts and ideals towards others, like for others, in order to help others, I feel like it brings some sense of satisfaction back to the self, okay? So I feel like they have two dualistic natures here, and I feel like sensuality really helps you cultivate the experience, the senses, the feeling, the whatever. I feel like that comes from the feminine. And then, the masculine's ability to interpret and understand it, what's taking place. This is how them two work together, okay? The way the masculine's able to, I'm hearing like decompose, but not like the way he's able to break it down. Or if the masculine puts a quick decisive thing on it, like, ugh, that's yuck, right? And the feminine is going to be like, okay. But if the feminine could be like, what is this evoking in me? And the masculine can help her break that down. It's almost like there's like this cosmic awakening of the meaning of that experience more than just having the experience, okay? Like there's depth to it, okay? It doesn't feel so, like I said in my last reading, I said surface. It doesn't feel so surface because through the exploration of what these senses evoke within the being helps you understand why it exists in the first place, okay? And I feel like that's the whole point of what we're doing here as humans in a vessel. There's a lot of like exploration of the self, but also the exploration of what already exists here, okay? Because Earth is meant to be a reflection of divinity itself. And if you are able to tap in to nature and into the beauty of what this earth was created for and what it's here to do for us and what it continues to do for us, whether we are aware of it or not. A lot of us are oblivious to what this earth is capable of and why we're here, right? But if you're able to really just like observe it and appreciate it and understand it and decipher it for yourself, you can almost like realize it's trying to offer you something. It's trying to offer you a gift. It's trying to offer you support in your journey of self-exploration, And not deprivation, right? I feel like you've been depriving yourself of something. I feel like your soul was seeking something and that's why it came. But through being here, you're going to remember the beauty of what the soul actually is, right? Through this experience, you and then once you, I feel like a lot of us are cultivating that now, where our soul and our being are now here together. Like where I feel like maybe the soul may have been observing as the being lived out this incarnation. I do feel like this like union of the two coming together and really being like, okay, now that I've studied enough, I feel like I can like embrace what this life has to teach me while still allowing my soul to be in its fullness here and let the two experience this life together. Okay, I feel like there's a next level of joy, understanding, and fullness that's taking place. I do feel that, yeah. This feels like, okay, this feels like this is the vessel being like me. I am me. I have realized me. I've understood me, right? Or I've realized understood, and then you see the tree behind it. I am here to experience you, Earth. I am here. Me and you are one and the same. Okay, my vessel comes from the earth, right? Like the whole Adam came from the dirt and Eve came from his rib type of thing. It's almost like these physical vessels that we incarnate into are of the earth. And if we can understand ourselves and see ourselves as one with this and then see the beauty in nature and see the beauty in ourselves, oh my God, what a difference that'll have on the way that you move about. And I think your whole life will change. Your whole perception of life itself begins to change. This new beginning, yeah. It says new beginning on the back, new beginning. But this seems like the higher self who's been observing. Oh my God, this light is too bright. The higher self has been observing, right? And it feels like the vessel and the higher self have almost been not separate, but separate, like two separate entities. But you have so many remnants of it within you. I feel like I said, the nature within you comes from this soul that is you. Okay, it's nothing. There's a separation, feeling like the soul, the spirit was like, I don't have something that I had in incarnation, and incarnation's like, I don't have something that I was in the spirit. And I feel like this like divine union taking place through experiencing the fullness of our sensual, sensory, sensible self. Okay, there's like this, the purpose of it is to remind you that you are both spirit and a vessel. You are both human and spiritual. Wow. Wow. It feels like your higher self is like behind it, right? It feels like they're coming in so that you are now hugging, and it's like you and your higher self are now one, right? And so now when you look in the mirror, oh God, now when you look in the mirror, they're looking at their own reflection. I see you in me now. We are now one. We are now one being. We are now, oh God. Yeah, and I feel like this deep healing is taking place as well. And like I said, it's not just like healing all the chakras, healing the entire being of the self, because there was this separation because of this lack of feeling like I'm feeling like missing parts of the self, but also feeling like the self can't fully exist here because the things that reflect it, we only were able to see the duality in it and not the oneness in it, right? So now that we're starting to understand the oneness in nature, the oneness in ourselves, and the oneness and like me and you and community, and the way we see ourselves and other people, and understand that we are all having this experience and it may look different for all of us, but there's like this compassion and this understanding that everyone's supposed to look different, and that if you focus on your own and really just take care of yourself and heal what's been damaged, repurpose your intentions, repurpose your the meaning of life for you, you really start to begin to like live this life from this fully embodied presence. And almost it feels like you forget, it almost feels like you forget to consider other people when it comes to your choices, because they were never a part of the reason you incarnate. Like, they were only meant to trigger you, and certain people you had contracts with to inspire you or to remind you of who you are, or to trigger you because it felt out of alignment with who you are. But the whole intention was to become back into alignment and fully embody the beautiful nature and oneness of the duality of the self. Okay, the duality of the physicality and the spirituality, the duality of the masculine and feminine aspects of the self, and how they interconnectedly, you know, how I was saying earlier, how the masculine could support the feminine in her quest for full embodiment, and how the feminine and duality as well can support the masculine in his desire for full expression that comes from this full embodiment, right? He doesn't desire to, the true divine masculine doesn't desire to express or create from this place of lack or codependency or dependency, right? To feel like I need to show up this way in order to survive this incarnation, this reality, this world, right? He no longer wants to work from that place. He more so wants to be fully embodied and express his own spirit and soul and nature, and his understanding that he has come to cultivate through this incarnation, through this life, through the lessons and the journey that you've had so far. He wants to express that in creative ways that can help not only heal the self through being able to embody and express and live now in this incarnation this way, but also heal others. Okay, the masculine has truly learned that his ideals have massive impacts, and his expression have massive impacts on the people around him, right? So now he's having to come back in and figure out, now who am I, and what do I have to offer, and who am I to myself? What gifts do I have? What things, what joy and pleasure and light, and just there's so much within the self. And I feel like the feminine's been cultivating and healing and removing and releasing and truly allowing this to awaken this sensual, not primal is what I heard, sensual embodiment. Okay, as I feel like as physical beings, we try to use I'm hearing the nature of what these vessels are, which is like animals, right? Animalistic. We try to use our animalistic primal tendencies, because that is what the vessel is. I'm hearing a copy of. I don't know what that fully means, but you get what I'm saying, where we're trying to use that as an excuse to act out of character is what I'm hearing, but like out of soul alignment. Okay, you are a soul. You are a soul. You are not just the vessel. And without the vessel, you're not just a soul, right? I mean, you are a soul. But if your soul can incarnate in the vessel and you can see the duality, which your soul always had, right? You just needed the vessel to understand its purpose in order for the soul to fully now live out its journey and its dream of being embodied, and the joys and pleasures that come from being embodied. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Like, there is no true separation, but separation was needed in order for both the soul and the body to learn what it needed to learn. Oh my God, the body is coming alive. Can y'all see that? Like, it's like out of this flower, it like birthed itself again, and there's like this rainbow, and it feels like now the body and the soul are one. And oh my God, it almost feels like it's giving like heaven on earth. It's giving like but heaven on earth is not something outside of you, it's now who you are. Like, it's your being, because heaven on earth, what's that? That's literally taking this body into that spiritual oneness with the most divine parts of yourself, okay? The most like, oof, sacred, beautiful parts of the self. I'm so excited for this. Okay, we're almost done. Let's see. Hmm. I feel like now that they're embracing each other, now that the spirit and the body are learning to embrace each other, and the feminine and masculine aspects of the self are starting to embrace each other, they can actually see each other for who they truly are, and the gift that they, yeah, it's like they're moving in harmony. They're moving with a cohesive flow now, okay? There's not like this fight or resistance of the self, because it feels like you have something to offer and I have something to offer, and there's always going to be something that, if I allow the flow, if I feel if I feel some type of tension or resistance, it means that it's time for me to step back and allow you to show me something, right? So I feel like we're saying with the feminine and masculine, like if there's like, oh, I'm pushing too hard to make my point, to get my point across, or I'm pushing too hard to make this thing happen, you have to step back and allow the other aspect to maybe fill in a piece, maybe fill in something that is needed from both. Same for the spirit and the body. It feels like if the spirit's constantly trying to lead, but the body's like having a hard time catching up, right? It's almost like neither one is at a loss or missing anything. Okay, I think there's, again, the beauty of being in this incarnation, being here on earth, is to understand the ebb and flow of both, okay? I feel like earth needs us just as much as we need it, right? Earth desires to have us here just as much as we desire to be here on earth, right? There is like this ebb and flow that is happening with the beings that are here and the earth itself, which is just allowing us to take part and exist on it, right? With it. So there's so much duality that is now coming into oneness, but still allowing the two parts of the self to exist fully, like, but in harmony and flow now, and not from a separated oh wow, there's like this reintegration. It almost feels like they went from like, I see you, I understand you, I'm learning from you, to like this embrace of being like, I have you, I'm supporting you, to being like in this like infinity symbol where it's like, now we move like this. So if we're over here in this energy, there's gonna be a point where you have to come back over here and let the other side, and it's like constantly like doing this like infinity symbol with each other now. Like it's really, it's and oh my god, the cards are like glowing. It almost feels like, and now the aura is able to expand. Yeah, it feels like your life gets better from doing this. You magnetize so much more harmony and so much more beauty and so much more cohesiveness in your life, because you are now existing this way within the self, okay? I feel like this is alchemization happening right now. Yeah, I feel like there's no more separation, right? It's almost like I need you as much as you need me. There's no need to judge. There's no need to where yeah, it feels like they're able to support each other. Oh my god, that's so beautiful, cuz in this card it looks like the feminine is like kissing the masculine, right? He looks a little distraught and she's like supporting and kissing him. And then in this one, it looks like the masculine is kissing and supporting the woman, and she looks very vulnerable and fragile, and he's like, I got you. Like he's holding her from behind, right? And there's like this like dual nature of like, okay, and he has wings, and she, yeah, it's almost feeling like this duality of like, with the spirit, with the higher self, with the like, there's so much that we can't see that our higher selves can, that the divine can, and they're constantly trying to support us. But if we're constantly resisting due to the nature of our beings trying to satisfy a primal need, we are missing the point, and we're going to even miss some of the divine realignment and guidance that will constantly keep you in this abundant. Look at this tree. Look at it. Like, oh my god, this light sucks. Look at how like the tree is like fully covered in leaves, right? Fully covered. It's flourishing. It's flourishing. I feel like we've had ebbs and flows in our life. We've had good times, we've had bad times, but I feel like there's this thing where it feels like it's not consistent. It feels like we weren't able to consistently manifest our dream life. We weren't able to consistently stay in alignment. We weren't able to consistently be happy. We weren't able to consistently give from this complete place or receive from this complete place, right? And I feel like first and foremost, you have to find this oneness, this completeness within the self, so that everything else in your life will flourish, because you will only be experiencing and attracting the things in your life that mirror the frequency and energy that is you. Okay. And I feel like the fullness of you is coming back into alignment, back online. Okay. The separation that took place just for you to be able to incarnate and learn the lessons that you needed to is no longer necessary, because you can experience all the facets of who you are together in wholeness and oneness, and they can allow each other to both shine, and the ebb and flow and the dualistic nature of the self is no longer apart from one another, but in tandemly working together to make the entire being, okay, the body, the soul, the masculine, the feminine, the entire being stronger, better, happier, more fulfilled, okay, because you were all of these things. Being all these things was a soul. There was a little more that I feel like was meant to be experienced, meant to be attained through now putting that same soul to the test by being a physical being, okay? And I feel like being excited, the question was about sensuality, and I feel like sensuality is the excitement and the joy that comes from being a physical being. Okay, you wouldn't know sensuality if you didn't know physicality. Okay, it feels like those two go hand in hand. So really get in touch with, and your spirit, yeah, it really reminds you that it's not just physical, because you don't have to be touched to feel pleasure. You don't have to just, but the way that you can feel pleasure through the physical body is so unique to this physical incarnation, to this physical reality, to earth, that it's like, it's special, and it's meant to be experienced through you, for you, not for anyone else. You don't owe anybody else you don't need to give anyone else permission, or you don't need permission from anyone else to be your most sensual, sensory, alive self, because you already are that, and you already were that long before you incarnated here, and long after. Okay, and it's time now for you to experience the fullness of your being, of your spirit in your being. Okay, that was beautiful. And that was the message for today. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next video.